Shasinde kulola kwa minister Zambia tio walia kuna nikani waini walia Zimbabwe sinde kulola kwa minister walifika kunyenga no alombe ku Zimbabwe alombe kwa America alombe kwa Angola shasinde kulola kwa minister Zambia tio walia kuna nikani waini walia Zimbabwe sinde kulola kwa minister walifika kunyenga no ya zambo tio fiat kambira
masini akazishita kwa no mama supporta bana kama sasa supporta na
tuzambo yo tuzambo
madama mkaona akapostinga ntanama no tumkaziyo papa
basa kwa niso supporta bana
sasa supporta bana wake muona ruosa dandaula
ero zio fia ndalama zake nsinzifuna na hapa mwanje zio ene mkanaona ngabodi hapo ndalama za Juni na kupapa tani so mafuna vonuza vanyonyo hapo wila nzamu kapaula mbezi yao. You feel me?
They tried all sort of torture. All sort of torture. When I say all sort of torture, it's bad. Some other things that don't want even to remember them. I know you are hearing even Sodom. Sodom, no, they've been sodomizing. All those were there in that torture. That's why I even went for operation for things which I never, for the diseases which I never even acquired. And I thank God. The people like Mama Edith Nawakwi, they stood. Unabonia stood. Changala stood. Maomba stood without fear to demand of my release. All those days I disappears, it was a hell. If the hell is like that, I don't know. I don't know that I will repent.
Ron constituency, you had approved 14 projects, implemented 0, work in progress 0, outstanding 14. What do you attribute this, if I can say, poor performance, where you have the money, you have you fail to implement any of the projects for the entire year 2023? What would be your explanation?
Thank you, Chair. I wish to reiterate that we have no qualms with observations of the auditors. What is depicted in their report is the position as at the close of 2023. Indeed, Chair, we had no works in progress for both constituencies. And I will preface my response by way of indicating.
Before you go to that, I wanted a confirmation which you have made, that indeed true, that the entire year 2023, Luansha failed the people of Luansha to manage CDF in respect of community projects. People have been hearing about CDF given to you by the government, very generous, to say, can you give the people of Ron and Luansha? Then the management team completely fails the entire year to implement one, not even work in progress, 0. How would you assess yourself? And what comes to you when you sit, you are reporting for work from January to December, 8 to 17 hours. You are there and you are failing. What actions have you, or sanctions, have you meted on any of the erring officers? Because I believe that monies were being sent in piecemeal, quarterly, same in all the constituencies. And some endeavored to start projects. But in Luansha, you are even comfortable to say, no, we take the blame. In civilized jurisdictions, all of you should have resigned. in the abundance of plenty, all things being equal, then you do zero. How do you think the people of Ron and the Rwansha felt, or they look at you, if that is the case? Further, lastly, what do you tell government that you mean well and you are there to implement government policy decisions or directives? It's touching for me. I can't believe when I saw this. What do you think? You respond, then the follow-up questions are coming.
Thank you, Chair. By indicating before the committee that the observation of the auditor is such as it is, that has taken a lot of introspection on our part, as I indicated. And,
before the auditor, no, maybe let's interact. Before the auditors, you had no issues. You didn't see it until in May when the auditors came. That's when you're saying you too. That's what we realized. That's what you're telling the people of Rwanda and Zambia in general?
No, Chair. If I may be allowed.
As logistics were being put in place and arrangements were being made, as you know, for a prisoner to leave the country and go and be in hospital there, Mr. Mwamba needs to be guarded 24/7. And therefore, there must be prison warders that will have to travel with Mr. Mwamba to ensure that they remain guard 24/7 around him. As those arrangements were being made, the authorities in South Africa contacted government here and stated that owing to the status of one being a prison convict, they said they would get back to us, tell us when to allow Mr. Mwamba to travel or when they will allow Mr. Mwamba to enter their country. We are still waiting. And the family is aware. Because some of these arrangements were also being made by the family. And they are aware that the authorities in South Africa have said to us and the family to hold on. They will tell us when they can allow for Mr. GBM to be taken to South Africa. So this whole talk of trying to suggest that he's been blocked, people are being vindictive, the president does not want Mr. Mwamba to be taken out, he wants him to suffer here. It has nothing to do with the president. This government has said, we have no issues, he can go, provided he meets the conditions. Condition which one is that he's guarded 24/7 because he's a prison. Condition which his family and himself have said, we have no problem, we oblige. So now we are only at a point when we are waiting for the authorities in South Africa to give us a green light or go ahead to allow for Mr. Mwamba to be taken to South Africa. So there is nobody who is blocking Mr. GBM from being evacuated for medical purposes. However, government has ensured that the best medical care is being given to him. That is why he's been attended at Mainasoko Military Hospital, to ensure that the best care is given to him. So it is wrong to insinuate and suggest that Mr. Mwamba is being punished and that Mr. Mwamba is not liked by the president. There is no issue to do with liking and not liking here. It's simply the law being followed. Lastly and thirdly, I also want to inform the nation that former president and 6th Republican president, Dr. Edgar Lungu, is doing well. He also is in South Africa for treatment. He called me a couple of days ago. He was checking on me to check on my health, and we had a chat. And even during that conversation, President Lungu informed me that he was done with his chemotherapy and that he was now just going for review so that then the doctors can determine what the next step is. Maybe is to continue with another session of chemotherapy, or maybe is to come back home. The doctors will determine. But he was feeling better and well. We joked. We were even laughing at each other. And former president even said, well, I was worried. I was thinking that you are very sick, but it looks like you are doing a bit better. And I was also saying to him that, no, Your Excellency, I think that you are better off and I'm worse off. And we had our usual, chat around the sickness and so on. But there's one thing that struck me and I want the nation to know and understand. Let us give President Lungu an opportunity to rest and recuperate and desist from dragging him into our politics. There are way too many statements being made in his name. This is not the time to drag President Lungu into politics. This is the time to allow President Lungu to rest. It is also a time that as a nation we come together and pray for President Lungu. We are a Christian people belonging in a Christian nation. And when we're affected, we take to God. That's who we are. We take to God. We are a people of God. Our former president right now needs our prayers. Even at the time former President Banda was afflicted by cancer, as a country, we took to pray for him. And I ask citizens that we desist from dragging President Lungu into politics and take to our knees to pray for our former president. It is not good to keep writing all these statements in his name. I saw another statement that was written yesterday over the demise of Madam Nawakwi, and so many things were put there. I can confirm to you that that's not President Lungu saying those things. Sayujohala Baru, characters, preachers of hate, doom and naysayers that want to fight their political battles, but because they are cowards, they will not do it in their name. They will drag the name of former president and say he said it, when in fact he didn't. And if you must know, former President Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema must speak to one another. And from time to time, His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, calls President Lungu to check on his brother, to wish him well, and to ensure that all is well. And even when I was having that conversation with President Lungu, I said to him, you know, the country thinks that you two don't talk, but I am aware that you two talk to each other. And he laughed. He said, it's you people who follow us. You, the people around the President Hakainde Hichilema, and the people around me, you are the ones giving this impression that there's enmity between the two of us. There's zero enmity between President Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema. So let's all desist from exacerbating what does not exist. There is no enmity between the two leaders. They talk to each other, they wish each other well, and they keep checking on each other from time to time. I want to end by taking the opportunity to appeal to the family of former President Lungu to take charge of the former president and cut out all these political clowns that are using and abusing former President Lungu's name, reputation, and demeanor to push their political agendas. Let them do their own politics. Let them say what they want to say in their names. leave the former president out. And as a family, take charge. Take charge of the man. Take charge of the grandfather. Take charge of the father. Take charge of the brother. He needs a lot of rest. He needs a lot of care. He needs a lot of support. And he needs all of us, our prayers. Let us pray for former President Lungu. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another interesting live stream. Welcome to Z Corner TV. My name is Muna, and in today's episode, we are obviously jam-packed with a whole lot of different exciting stories across Zambia. Yesterday was a very big day. We obviously witnessed the return of Emmanuel Banda after his long-awaited silence, and today is pretty much the aftermath of that. So we really want to find out what your opinions are with regards to all the topics that are scrolling on your screen. Now, today is a very good day due to the fact that you are allowed to give us a call. So if you are watching me right now, you can pretty much just call us, chime in, and just get to give us your opinion. So the number is going to be scrolling on your screen. It should be at the bottom right over there. That's the number which is consistently scrolling through. Give us a call. Tell us what you think about everything that has been happening in Zambia so far. We've got Emmanuel Banda. We've got Edith Nawakwi, Mehaso, rest in peace. Muni Zulu has been sentenced, and a whole lot of other different exciting stories. Now, this live stream is obviously meant to be very interactive, and this is one of the reasons why we do treasure your opinions, because your opinions definitely do matter. Sikufele is on the other end of the stream. Sikufele, welcome to the show. How are you doing, and how's the Copper Belt?
I'm doing great, and I'm very excited for today's show because it's, like you said, very interactive, and we're expectant of a lot of calls coming in from you because we've had quite an interesting week. We started with headlines that were just crazy. Muni Zulu given a 12-month sentence. After that, Emmanuel Banda reappeared, and he was telling us his side of the story. And obviously, we expect a lot of people to let us know what their opinion is. Are they buying what Emmanuel Banda, was talking about, what he's claiming happened to him? And obviously on the entertainment side as well, we did play something from Gezile. There's some social media buzz when it comes to the entertainment between Junior Lwala and one of his women that has got his child. So that's a lot of stuff to talk about. And most importantly, my favorite of all these topics, is the video that we're just from hearing coming through from the PS for Ministry of Information. That's Thabo Kawana, who was talking about quite a number of things. He was talking about the evacuation process for GBM, as well as the health and whereabouts for former President Edgar Lungu. And this is in relation to people always trying to make it seem as if HH, the current president, and the former president are always fighting. And it's something that I didn't expect would come from the government, but this is information that we have been expecting to hear, and it's kind of a relief to hear that actually they do talk. And now we know that it's actually the people around both camps, those that are around President Hakainde Hichilema and those that are around former President Edgar Lungu, who benefit from seeing them go at it head on. So very interactive. The number is scrolling. In case you don't know it or haven't seen it, it's 0771 235966. So give us a call. And not forgetting the Luansha CDF story. Now, that one's also interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So, Siku, you've obviously done a very good job breaking down all the top stories in today's episode. So, what are we going to go for? Are we going to talk about the serious stuff first, or we just get into the entertainment side of today's live stream? What would you go for?
We can start with the entertainment side, and then we get to the serious stuff with the for lack of a better term, the baby mama drama that's unfolding on social media between Junior Lwala and Gezile, which is, I haven't really followed them like that, but it's hard not to come across a video of, the drama that's unfolding between the two adults.
Yeah, for sure. And just to refresh people's memories, in case we've got a few of you just joining us right now, here is what is happening with regards to these two people.
Tizamboyo.
Madama Kawana kapostinga ndana nothi mkaziyo papa.
Basa kwaniso support abana.
Sasa support abana bakhe. Muona lo sadandaula.
Zio fya ndalama zake sizifuna napa mwanje. Zio ene mkanona nkebodi yapo ndalama za Juni. Na kupapa tani sosi mafuna vonuza vanyonyo hapo. Wina nguzamu kapaola mbezi yao. You feel me?
Yeah, so obviously that was the said lady. Obviously, this is a very sensitive topic, and honestly speaking, I do not really love diving deep in people's other issues, because I really believe this is like a very family-oriented type of scenario, and I think it's just not really in our African culture to get into other people's businesses. However, these are the topics that are trending here on social media. And obviously, we do understand how the Facebook algorithm works. So we're trying to be a little bit smart, sprinkle in a little bit of clickbait, etc. However, according to me, is honestly really none of my business. I just hate the fact that personal family matter is being thrown to the public. So I don't know. Siku, take it away. What do you think?
I think what's on my mind is what's on every Zambian's mind. Let's grow up. Let's be mature about this issue. Let's not take everything to social media, because we obviously we have been carried along. It's like a roller coaster ride from the time the pregnancy came through, the time the young lady gave birth, and to now. So obviously, most stages of the story, we've been a part of it as the public, because they've been sharing their drama on social media. And it's quite crazy, because I remember when this whole story broke out of Junior Lwala denying that he had impregnated Gezile or Gezile, depending on which part of the country you're coming from or the world. It was a whole issue, and like you mentioned, relatives came in until they sorted that issue. So after that, we're fast forwarding to this, and it's quite just unfortunate that even innocent people are being brought into this conversation. Babies are being mentioned in this conversation, and all this is stemming from decisions from adults. So I think the only thing that we can do is try and advise them, and to keep things off social media, because these are very personal affairs, and these are things that a lot of people might be going through, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not giving a good look for both individuals. And these are pretty brilliant individuals. I do remember how Gezile came up on social media as a social media influencer. Now she's on radio with Kwitu FM. She does a show there. So she's pretty much a goal-oriented young lady. So this is just adding negative publicity to her hustle and as well as her career, because now she's only going to be known as somebody's baby mama, but forgetting people are going to forget her marketing skills that she has. And I think that's what brought her on the scene when she was speaking like Chewa, and people were surprised. This light-skinned, beautiful human being is speaking in local language like this. She started getting endorsements. I think Trade Kings gave her some brand endorsements. She had interviews with Simon Mwewalane, until she became big and her name became known. So I think this is something that's just adding or reflecting negatively on her image and her personal career. So hopefully they try and keep this out of the media eye. And Junior Lwala obviously is a businessman, a copper belt tycoon, one of those guys that is, you don't know what he does, but he does something. He's a money magnet. So he's a big boy, obviously, and this is obviously a dent to his name, and it's something that has potential to ruin his reputation and affect his business deals. So for the sake of the children that are involved and everybody that's involved, the only thing I can say is let's try and keep this off social media, and let's try and be respectful towards one another, because at the end of the day, there was some joy that both of them brought in each other's lives. So I think this is something that we shouldn't even stay on for a long time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So anyway, moving on to the next topic, at least that has been dealt with. For the people that obviously joined this live stream for that particular, sound bite, that is that. Anyhow, to all the people watching us right now, kindly share this video, because I do see there's quite a number of you. So if you are listening to my voice, take 1 second of your life to share this video, at least in the 5 different groups that you belong to. And if you want to add your voice to this conversation, the number is scrolling on your screen right now. You can always give us a call, and you're definitely going to be able heard by everybody. So if you're watching us on YouTube, the link to join our live feed is in the comment section. So if you want to be part of this conversation, if you want to appear on this live stream, you can always join us and have your configurations going on and be able to be part of this conversation. Anyhow, moving on to our next topic, let's talk about the aftermath as far as JJ Banda is concerned. So obviously he had a grandiose massive return on social media. Obviously he had crazy numbers. He had over 13,000 people watching him live, and so far people have got mixed feelings. So we want to find out what you think about his return. So in the meantime, let me just play a little bit from his live video that took place yesterday.
They tried all sort of torture. All sort of torture. When I say all sort of torture, it's bad. Some other things I don't want even to remember them. I know you are hearing even Sodom. Sodom, no, there's been sodomizing. All those were there in that torture.
All right, so that's just a little bit of a snippet from his live video. So Siku, what are your afterthoughts concerning JJ Banda?
Look, I was tuned into most media houses, radio stations, TV stations, and try and see if this is going to be like the main topic or conversation on radio stations, on TV stations. But unfortunately, I was quite disappointed, because very few people actually carried this as a main story and, dissected this whole situation. So for me, that shows that his going live had little to no impact, and a lot of people seems like they didn't really get what they wanted from the video, and he didn't convince the people with what he was saying, and people have moved on. So it is quite unfortunate that he missed this brilliant opportunity where he had the nation's attention. And I mean, knowing how our country is and how our social media is, people would have gone crazy on Facebook talking about JJ Banda, talking about all the things, the allegations that he had raised, because he had raised some interesting allegations. He name dropped Levin Goma and other people as well, being a part of the people that abducted him. And, Clay Hamasaka, these are people that are known to be part of the UPND government. So this obviously had that potential of being a national, a national issue of interest today. But unfortunately, like I said, very few media outlets were actually carrying it on their breakfast clubs or drive time shows. These are the most important shows. And also, I think it was quite a bit of a wrong timing for him, because in as much as people would want to go full swing political conversations, we are still mourning the death of Madam Edith Nawakwi. And another issue that I felt also just discredited him is how he wanted to ride on, or it seemed like he wanted to ride off the death of Edith Nawakwi to score political points. And it seems like it has backfired, because right now, when Zambians are mourning, and regardless of what issue they have with a group of people, we unify, we're united, and I think there are a lot of things that were not put into consideration, could be possible outcomes when Emmanuel JJ Banda was setting up his life. So I think that's my observation so far.
Yeah, definitely. And just like you have clearly stated, right? A lot of Zambians have obviously moved on. Today, nobody's really talking about JJ Banda like that. His few minutes of fame have obviously ran out, which is quite ironic due to the fact that it's been barely less than 24 hours since he had, his massive, return. So this is one of the reasons why I'm beginning to think, how popular was JJ Banda? Because obviously JJ Banda isn't really one of those MPs who would articulate himself very well, especially in parliament. Obviously, he's got a very good footing when it comes to the grassroots, when it comes to Petauke and the people around Petauke, right? They obviously give him a lot of respect, etc. But when it comes to the general public, right, people outside of Eastern Province, Petauke, we do not really know what this person is all about. Of course, the most infamous incident that he had, and he obviously garnered a lot of public notoriety, if I can put it that way, is when he allegedly attacked or rather had an incident with Zambia police back in the day during the heydays of PF. So this is one of the reasons why people got to know him. But other than that, him being a very popular guy in Petauke, Eastern Province, we do not really know much of him. And this is one of the reasons why, obviously, when it comes to articulation and obviously having like a very big social media impact aftermath, obviously that's not really going to be one of his strongest characteristics, due to the fact that he's not really an articulate type of person. He's much more of a grassroots, on the ground type of person. And this is one of the reasons why I really believe he's not really going to be that relevant, due to the fact that he has been cut off, especially when it comes to being actively involved in politics here in Zambia. As you know, right, he's obviously in exile. He had few situations here and there with the police. He's obviously in exile, so it's going to be difficult for him to be very effective, due to the fact that now he has to be effective online, digitally. And when it comes to effectiveness online, especially on digital platforms such as Facebook, right, you obviously need to be hands-on type of person. You need to articulate, you need to have a one-on-one conversation with people. And I really believe this is not really one of his strongest attributes, if I can put it that way. So going on in the future, I do not really know what the future holds for him, but like they say, you can never discredit a person, and only God knows what a person's destiny is all about. However, JJ Banda, I am definitely reaching out to you personally. You always have a voice here on Z Corner, so in case you are looking forward to having an interview with us, our doors are obviously opened. They are open for you, so feel free to reach out to us and say, hey, look, Muna, Siku, I want to have a conversation with the Zambian people. Let me use your platform. And we are definitely going to give you that opportunity, because this is what we are here for. Anyhow, moving on to the next topic, Siku, what are we having on the lineup?
Well, the next topic is the CDF situation in Luanshya, which is quite very interesting and heated up.
Yeah, for sure. And
we do have,
sorry for cutting you. Let me just play that clip so that we can be on the same page with people, because that's obviously coming up next. Because it's important for people to have a context. Okay, so let me just pull that up right now.
I don't.
Projects implemented 0. Work in progress 0. Outstanding 14. What do you attribute this, if I can say, poor performance, where you have the money, you have you fail to implement any of the projects for the entire year 2023? What would be your explanation?
Thank you, Chair. I wish to reiterate that we have no qualms with observations of the auditors. What is depicted in their report is the position as at the close of 2023. Indeed, Chair, we had no works in progress for both constituencies. And I will preface my response by way of indicating.
Before you go to that, I wanted a confirmation which you have made that indeed true, that the entire year 2023, Luansha failed the people of Luansha to manage CDF in respect of community projects. People have been hearing about CDF given to you by the government, very generous, to say, can you give the people of Ron and Luansha? Then the management team completely fails the entire year to implement one, not even work in progress, zero. How would you assess yourself? And what comes to you when you sit, you are reporting for work from January to December, 8 to 17 hours. You are there and you are failing. What actions have you, or sanctions, have you meted on any of the erring officers? Because I believe that monies were being sent in piecemeal, quarterly, same in all the constituencies. And some endeavored to start projects. But in Luansha, you are even comfortable to say, no, we take the blame. Any civilized jurisdictions, all of you should have resigned. In the abundance of plenty.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you got the gist of where our conversation is coming from. So Siku, take it away. What do you think should be done? Should the people representing those particular constituencies resign on moral grounds? By the way, this is not really a popular occurrence here in Zambia. People never resign on moral grounds. Zambia is not really like a lot of these first world countries, or where people literally step down on moral grounds. Here, Bagamba, until they drag you to prison, nobody is stepping down no matter what. So yeah, Siku.
It's crazy, and I've had conversations with people about that situation. So, for example, even ministers, when there's no
other option to defend you,
when there's no other option, mostly they just transfer them to another ministry, and then life continues, life goes on. And the fact that we're a Christian, we proudly call ourselves a Christian nation, yet morally, it's interesting. It's the same thing, right? The issue that we're talking about, JJ Banda, when you go to his Facebook, he's still calling himself Honorable Emmanuel, but he is a former MP. And, the whole honorable situation, I feel like as Zambians, we don't know when it comes in, when do we call, or why do we call somebody an honorable?
No, you know what I really think? I feel like the word honorable means, boss, chief, like the way that we casually call ourselves CEO. Is just a way of saluting somebody. But in actual reality, the honor is with the people of a particular constituency. But here in Zambia, it's just one of those things. But honorable, just as a way of bigging up somebody.
Exactly. And just like, in the video, why are these people not stepping down and saying, hey guys, if we're not fit, because there is no way money has been allocated to you and you're just seated saying, there's no projects that's implemented, and that's for the year 2023. Now, for those that don't know what CDF is, this is a constituency development fund. Now, this is money that is given to each constituency in Zambia, and then the WDCs, that's the Ward Development Committees, get to formulate projects that they submit to their member of parliament and their local authorities, and then they take to the local government lobbying for funds, and once those funds are approved or the projects are approved, then now the local authorities get to work on them. Things like getting desks for schools, building clinics, shelters, markets, etc., etc. So this is the money that we're talking about. So these guys are saying mu 2023 tabakwete project tirionse in the whole entire Luancha Ukuron constituency and the other area, that's Luancha Central. Now 14 projects were approved in the year 2023, yet 0 were actioned. So what's the whole point of the WDC committee submitting these projects and then them being approved, money being sent, and then nothing is being done? And then they have the chance to exonerate themselves and say, hey guys, yadi kabadi imbi, you know, impi shadisa disappear nangshani. But what they have just said is, hey, chief, we know we didn't do our work. Yeah, we take full responsibility, you know. So is it something that the Zambian people should really question the morals of these individuals, because they don't see a sense of urgency in developing the constituencies? And now these are situations where now the ruling party looks like they're not really doing anything, yet they've given us the money, they've given you the money, they've approved your project. So goes back to, in Zambia, we've got this tendency of, we do not like pointing at the people that are actually responsible for certain things. The only thing that we want to do is say, instead of saying, well, our area member of parliament is not working, our councillor is not working, our WDC is not working, how do we get them to start working? Because these are people that are your mouthpiece. These are people that you send to, if it's the WDCs, to the local authorities to lobby for funds for projects. They tell your local authority that these are the projects that are needed, and then now the MPs, these are the people now that are your mouthpiece. These are the people that fight for you getting that budget allocation and you know, certain projects being approved. So if they're not doing their job, why castigate the president and say, but President Tabarebomba, is the president responsible for fixing potholes in your area? Is the president responsible for grading tumatama, kutuma roads, tuma santishani? Is the president responsible for picking up trash in your area? So these are questions that I feel like we should start asking the right people and seeking answers from them, because honestly, we can't even blame the president for the lack of ingenuity, lack of action by this local authority and this group of people. So all of them, the local authority, the MPs, the councillors, the WDCs, they don't have an excuse, and it's quite very unfortunate that they are robbing the people of Luancha, robbing the people of Ron constituency of the much development that is needed in Luancha. Now, this is an area that for a while now, it was known to be a ghost town, because all the mining activities in Luancha were dead, you know, until the President Hakainde Hichilema did commission one of the mines in Luancha. They were pumping out waters in one of the sites there. I just don't know how far that has gone to. So it's brought up a little bit of economic activity in Luancha. It's brought up a little bit of a ray of sunshine. People at least are optimistic. And it's quite unfortunate that this is the actual reality. People, because of people not wanting to work, people sabotaging the works of, the president and just basically themselves. Because at the end of the day, some of these things we're not going to blame President Hakainde Hichilema. We're going to blame the people those that have been appointed to do or carry out certain responsibilities. So it's quite unfortunate that this is happening in Luancha. Now, for me, the most interesting questions that I have are the members of parliament for the two constituencies, are they from the opposition? Are they from the ruling party? So if they are from the ruling party, what's the UPND going to do about it? Because they clearly have people that are just sitting in their ship that are just not doing anything. They're carrying dead weight. And what do you do when you're on a ship and you're sailing in the middle of the sea and it's a stormy night? Are you going to keep on carrying that dead weight, or are you going to offload that dead weight? Because these are the people that are tarnishing the government's name. And I feel like this is the place where, or this is where the president has reached after firing or terminating Honorable Gary Nkombo's appointment as local government minister. When he was swearing in the new gentleman as local government minister, he did highlight some behaviors that some cabinet ministers, have grown to have, such as sleeping during meetings, coming late, So I think even the president himself has started noticing the dead weight that he's carrying on his ship. And it's right now is the most important time to start getting rid of the dead weight. Otherwise, the ship is going to sink.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one of the reasons why, for example, in the United States of America, those of you that reside in the US, you obviously have heard of the Department of Government Efficiency, because there are situations where the government is obviously let down. Obviously, CDF is a very brilliant initiative. And by the way, in case you guys do not already travel around the country, in case you do not already go in the rural parts of Zambia, CDF is actually bringing in a lot of development, and there's a lot of progress that is happening in these rural areas. The thing is, people who are privileged to staying in big provinces such as Copperbelt, Lusaka, you guys do not really know it to the extent that CDF has been helping, especially the underprivileged people. It is definitely a massive game changer. And this is one of the reasons why it's very important for the government of the Republic of Zambia to have, part of the government that is responsible for efficiency. They monitor where the money goes, how it's being utilized, who's sleeping, who's dead weight, who's proactive, etc., so that we can have efficiency with regards to implementing the many initiatives that are being provided by the government. Because obviously there's absolutely no reason for Luansha to sit on the money. Of course, we all understand if you keep money, right, it collects interest. It, appreciates in value, especially if you're keeping huge sums of money. And you wouldn't tell me that Luansha didn't have any significant project that they would have utilized the CDF funds on. So there's absolutely no reason why that money wasn't utilized. So now the question is, who is behind the inactiveness of the utilization of CDF? What is prompting these people to sit on this money? And the other thing that we are supposed to obviously champion as Zambians is obviously accountability. Where are the citizens? What are the citizens in those particular constituencies? Why are they allowing this to happen? Who's allowing this inactivity to prolong? So this is one of the reasons why, if you belong to a particular constituency, go to the local, go to the council offices, find out what's happening, what the status is with regards to implementation of certain projects, etc. You need to take a proactive approach so that you keep everybody accountable. If everybody's on their P's and Q's, right? If everybody's making everybody accountable, right? We're going to be very, very efficient. So this is one of the reasons why I really believe the people of Luansha are to blame. The people holding those respective offices are obviously entirely up to blame, because there's no reason. The money was allocated, everything was up in their hands, but they just didn't take any action. So the question is, what is the motive behind that? Because there's a lot of citizens in those respective constituencies that would have benefited from all those developmental projects that would have taken place. Anyhow, I raise my case on that point.
Yeah, just adding more information. I think the other day I was looking at just doing some research on CDF projects on the Copper Belt, right? And Luanshya is one of those places as well that I looked at the numbers. So the Ministry of Local Government has a website, and you're able to actually track CDF, the disbursements of the disbursement of CDF. So just go to CDF trackers and you find all this information. So under Luanshya district, it's saying Luanshya constituency had 7 secondary school bursaries amounting to 10,000 kwacha, which it's decent. And then also Luanshya constituency had 548 bursaries skill development awards, which amounted to 4,282,822 kwacha. And as well as community projects, Luanshya district had 14, which amounted to 11,878,581 kwacha. And then grants given or grants that were approved were 63, and the amount for this was 1,953,200 kwacha. So now I'm looking at these 14 community projects. I'm looking at the skills development. I'm looking at the secondary school bursaries as well as grants. So all this money that's reflecting here, that telling us, okay, this is the amount of money that CDF actually is being utilized under CDF. It's a huge amount. These are huge amounts, and to come to learn that these actual projects, or some of these actual projects, were not really carried out, it's really quite very disturbing, and it's very misinforming when somebody just goes on this website, looks at the amounts, and thinks, oh, okay, CDF is actually working well. In retrospect, some of these projects are not being implemented. So this really gives a bad eye to the government, because this can be, it can be seen as false information. So I think repercussions are very. These are things that we're going to wait for and see what measures are going to be put in to ensure that this does not happen again in Luanshya, not only in Luanshya, but other parts of the country as well. We need to see people reprimanded. We need to see people, set as an example. And unfortunate, this is coming out of a bit of me being harsh, but I think when it comes to people's development, the development of the country, alleviating poverty and just changing people's lives, we have to take it with a huge sense of seriousness. And people have to know that when they're being assigned to positions as WDC chairman, WDC committee, councillor, MP, this is not something that should be carried lightly. So I think examples should be made from the people that are responsible for this huge crisis.
Brilliant. So anyway, moving on to our next news item. Obviously, we're not going to play the entire footage. So this is Thabo Kawana talking about GBM, Edgar Lungu, and clarifying a lot of talking points relating to Edith Nawakwi and so on. So let's just briefly listen to this.
Prisoner convict, they said they would get back to us and tell us when at 24/7 around it. As those arrangements were being made, the authorities in South Africa contacted government here and stated that owing to the status of one being a prisoner convict, they said they would get back to us and tell us when to allow Mr. Mwamba to travel, or when they will allow Mr. Mwamba to enter their country. We are still waiting. And the family is aware. Because some of these arrangements were also being made by the family. And they are aware that the authorities in South Africa have said to us and the family to hold on. They will tell us when they can allow for Mr. GBM to be taken to South Africa. So this whole talk of trying to suggest that he's been blocked. People are being vindictive. The president does not want Mr. Mwamba to be taken out. He wants him to suffer here. It has nothing to do with the president. This government has said, we have no issues, he can go, provided he meets the conditions. Condition which one is that he's guarded 24/7 because he's a prison. Condition which his family and himself have said, we have no problem, we oblige. So now we are only at a point when we are waiting for the authorities in South Africa to give us a green light or go ahead to allow for Mr. Mwamba to be taken to South Africa.
Yeah, so obviously that is a little bit of the gist with regards to what we are about to talk about. So Siku, give the people a background story, the backstory with regards to why Thabo Kawana was obliged or obligated to have such a press conference. And by the way, he's doing a very great job with regards to disputing misinformation, and I really believe misinformation is one step closer to chaos. You know, whenever you have misinformation, people tend to get misled, and if those rumors persist, right, obviously it's going to be uncontrollable. And this is one of the reasons why we're seeing a very proactive government with regards to disputing a lot of misinformation that a lot of people might have. So anyway, Siku, give them a backstory.
Now, this is mostly coming from the death of the former FDD leader, that's Edith Nawakwi. So we know she was going through court cases, and she fell ill, and there were rumors that the government was denying her access to healthcare. So some tried to politicize the issue and try to blame the government for her death, and which is unfortunate. And as well with Geoffrey Mwamba, who is a former defense minister, very big political heavyweight in Zambia, also a former UPND vice president. I must say that's very important to note. Unfortunately, he's been incarcerated. He was found wanting, and he was found guilty, and he was given a prison sentence. Unfortunately, also his health deteriorated, so he is also been going back and forth at the hospital because of the deterioration of his health. So after the death of Edith Nawakwi, people started saying, well, it's the same thing that we're seeing with GBM, and if GBM dies, then it's on the government's, his blood will be on the government. So I feel Thabo Kawana, the Ministry of Information, felt obligated and compelled to give a proper analysis and situation of what is happening right now, because there's a lot of speculation and a lot of misinformation. Just like we saw the issue of Madam Edith Nawakwi, where people were blaming the president for blocking her going outside the country. Later on, we did see that on the 28th of March, the president did approve for the evacuation of Madam Edith Nawakwi to go to South Africa, which she went together with former First Lady Vera Chiluba. And she was receiving treatment in South Africa until she passed on later on. So it's in this way to combat propaganda and misinformation. So the Ministry of Information felt the need to give the right information where it comes to GBM, and he was giving a process on what exactly is happening, what the process is. Especially, I feel he was highlighting the most important and crucial aspect on why certain things might drag, and this is because right now GBM unfortunately is a convict, he is a prisoner, and certain things have to be put in place. And I feel like the government right now has learned from what happened with JJ Banda's escape, so they are being a bit more cautious about the situation and carrying out the due diligence. And I feel this is what's happening, and I feel like that's what they wanted to highlight the most, saying, guys, these talks are already happening. The family, we're in talks with the family. The family actually has told us that they want to take him outside of the country to a certain medical facility, and government has said, hey, we're good with it. The only condition, or one of the most crucial condition, is that since he's a prisoner, he has to be escorted by police officers or a certain group of people. I think that's what was very important for the Ministry of Information to highlight. And then later on in the video, he did bring up the issue of the former president Edgar Lungu, and he narrated a phone call conversation that he and the former president had. And I think this is information that the Zambian people needed to hear. This is information that we need to hear, because as far as everybody is concerned, it's HH and Lungu, they'll fight. It's gonna be like a battle to the death back in the days. It's gonna be like war. But fortunately, Thabo Kawana has jumped in front of the situation and said, guys, these people do actually call each other, but the problem is the people that surround the two individuals who want to cause chaos, who want to bring division, and we're definitely seeing the backlash from President Edgar Lungu's camp that are trying to capitalize on his the way the Zambian people love him. When Edith Nawakwi died, there was a Facebook post that was put on his page that Thabo has disputed that the former president actually gave a go-ahead to post that, and I think now that the government is coming in and saying, okay, some of these acts, we know that it's not President Lungu, and we are urging the people that actually want to use his name to fight the current government to use their own name, because they're tarnishing the name of the former president. And I think that is the message that we should take away. The fact that the Zambian people do love this gentleman. We do love former President Edgar Lungu, and we want to we want him to be healthy. We want him to be a part of ensuring that this country gets the necessary development that it needs via working with governments, the new governments that are going to come in, or that have come in and that are going to come in, because he was put as the father of the nation, and we have much love and respect for him. So it's timely. It's a timely call that was needed, and people needed to know that. I think now it's up to President Edgar Lungu to come out and say, well, what Thabo is saying is actually true, and he himself makes sure that any doubts that are lingering in Zambian people's minds are brought to rest, because the former president is in good books with the current government, is in good books with the head of state. So I think it's now the boy is in his court and in his area to say what Thabo was saying is true, and we want peace.
Yeah, definitely. And you raised very good, solid points with regards to security. So here's a backstory. JJ Banda was also in hospital, and then what we later got to find out was he managed to escape. And if I'm not mistaken, he was at Mainasoko, right?
He was at Mainasoko. Then he was transferred to Chipata. I think the case was in Chipata or something. So he was in one of the hospitals in Chipata. That's where he escaped from.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously security is something that the government is really tight on right now, due to the fact that they have had situations where they have really looked very bad. I mean, if you look at the general internal security of Zambia, it's pretty poor. This is one of the reasons why we have a lot of Somalis, Rwandese coming through via the border, because we've got a very porous country, if I can put it that way, for lack of a better term. And this is one of the reasons why this time around, right, with GBM, regardless of how legit the concern is, security measures have to be put in place. Now, this is obviously something that can backfire on government, especially if the unfortunate thing that I do not want to even talk about or speculate happens. So now the question stands: how secure are we? How good is our security? Because we have had situations where police people have been looking for why me nabachaye mingarato. Up to now they haven't been able to find where why me is. I mean, I heard Zikta has been looking for him, but that boy is obvious na luvila pachani na lepula. So this is one of the reasons why
He learned something
people
of
are defending. Go
he
on.
learned something of JJ. He learned
Yeah,
something of
exactly.
JJ. Whoever masterminded why me's escape is the
Yeah.
same person that masterminded JJ's escape.
Yeah, and these PF people, they are very good at disappearing. These guys make is it Mushala? Do you remember Mushala? That guy from Mushala. You remember Mushala from back in the day? I'm sure you heard of the story. Maybe the people who are watching us remember Mushala. So basically, PF people are very good at disappearing. Remember Chimbakambwili was also in Zimbabwe. You understand? So this is one of the reasons why I'm beginning to think and lean towards, I don't know, the relationship between Zambia, Zimbabwe, and PF. By the way, fun fact, the people ruling Zimbabwe are ZANU PF, which is a very good coincidence because here in Zambia, PF was, ruling us. And this is one of the reasons why, obviously, a lot of them are seeking asylum and just basically going in exile in Zimbabwe because they've got very good relationship. And this is one of the reasons why we earlier talked about the bad relationship between ZANU-PF and the UPND government. So in terms of security, we definitely do have a lot of growing to do. We do not really have very good security here in Zambia. People can get away with a lot of different stuff. This is one of the reasons why, obviously, government has learned one or few things from what has happened in the past. And with regards to GBM and everybody that needs to be evacuated out of the country, security measures have to be put in place. And there are security protocols that need to be respected, especially if you are dealing with a convict. Protocol procedure has to be respected.
Now, also quite interesting, the Zimbabwe issue. So the UPND are trying to or doing their level best to mend relationships with Zimbabwe, with the current president of Zimbabwe. So today there's a story that came out of the UPND Secretary General, Mr. Imenda, meeting Emmerson Mnangagwa. Now the story reads, Zambian President Emmerson Mnangagwa has reaffirmed the deep-rooted ties between Zimbabwe and Zambia. Now, President Mnangagwa said this when he hosted UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda at State House in Harare today. So this quite gives you an insight of what's happening. People are trying to mend things. People are trying to, have relationships because Zimbabwe right now is in a very interesting position where it comes to being in between what's happening between the PF and the UPND. So Zimbabwe is very instrumental, and we wait to see how the tides will turn and what will happen. But the fact that we're seeing the UPND Secretary General traveling to Zimbabwe is quite interesting. Now, for me, why this is interesting. Now, remember, yes, UPND is in government. Is the Secretary General of the UPND a government employee? No, he's not a government employee. He's the employee of the party, the United National Development or United National Development Party. So him going to Zimbabwe, he's not going under official government business.
Yeah.
He's going
Definitely.
under party business, so there's a lot to read there. Like, I earlier mentioned, my mind goes into hyperactivity when certain things happen. So it's quite exciting to see the game of chess that is being played right now. And thank you for social media. Thank you for the internet for keeping us abreast, because we're able to see all this happen, and we're able to decipher some of the things that are happening. So we can safely say that the UPND are, doing their level best to mend the relationship with Zimbabwe.
Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about the bilateral relationship that Zambia has obviously enjoyed, in history up to now with countries like Zimbabwe, Malawi, we do have this sort of brotherhood due to the fact that we have obviously shared the same past. We had the same colonial country master. I really hate using that word, colonial master. That is so wrong. Anyway, we share the same history. So we do have a lot of ties. And as a matter of fact, here in Lusaka, I deal with a lot of Zimbabweans. A lot of my colleagues are from Zimbabwe. There's a lot of Zimbabwean businesses, business people here, and we are very intertwined, if I can put it that way. So this is one of the reasons why when certain wanted people are trying to get extradited out of countries like Zimbabwe or Malawi, right? And then you see like very bad blood between the two countries. It's really something that we should really get to probe and find the root cause. Of course, when Zimbabwe was having their elections, we saw MMD President who's this Nevas Mumba. He went
Banda.
to Zimbabwe. And that wasn't really one of the best experiences, I guess, that Zambia has had with Zimbabwe, because obviously, I'm not really going to get into that. You guys can obviously do your research. But ever since that recent Zimbabwean election, Zambia and Zimbabwe haven't had the best of relationships, and this is one of the reasons why obviously we're seeing a little bit of effort being put in to restore those that relationship, if I can put it that way. But anyway, this is all pure speculation, allegations, and these are our own personal thoughts. So please do not quote us on these speculations.
Don't quote us. Now remember, it's just two people having a conversation. Definitely, I want to have a conversation. Bars have like the most interesting political conversations. It's the same thing that we are doing here. And remember, you can be a part of this conversation. You don't need to be like, man, is that definitely politics? Just give your opinion. We want your opinion. These are conversations that we need to have as we're heading towards the election. We need to educate each other. We need to inform each other, and just ensure that we are ready to do the right thing when when it's due date for election. And when the politicians start coming knocking at our doors, we've got the right questions, we've got the right data and the right information. So please make sure that you do take note of the number that is scrolling, and you can be able to be part of the conversation just by calling in, and you will be but you can also be a part of the stream by following the link that is shared. People can see you just like they are seeing myself and Muna. And hey, you don't need to be like we said, you don't need to be like some major professional person. Just give us your opinion. This is like a bar conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people really think we're journalists. No, we're just two people who are interested in the welfare of Zambians. Because I'm seeing a lot of comments saying, what kind of journalists are you? You should have cited the Constitution, Article 42. No, guys, it's not really that deep. We're just having like a basic laid back type of conversation. Yeah, this is off the records, off the book. This is bar talk type of discussions. But anyhow, we are obviously going to be very, very factual and remain non-biased, so that we can give you very well put together type of information. But of course, you're only here for our opinions. You understand? Because you would like to hear what we think. And this is one of the reasons why you're obviously watching us. Siku, without further ado, I think we've had a very amazing live stream. We've been running for about an hour, 13 minutes. I think it's better for us to wrap it up, but we can let the people know the type of services that we offer.
Well, definitely, we do have quite a number of services that we're offering, but most importantly, we are looking at digital marketing, communication specialists. In case you're a politician, obviously now more about politics. Some of us we eat, sleep politics, so we can be able to help you come up, formulate your message. We'll be able to help you come up with a proper Facebook profile, talk about your image, your brand placement, and everything like that. So basically, we're offering digital marketing services. We're offering communication services. We do have PR experts, part of the team that will be able to formulate your speeches when you go to radio interviews, TV appearances, ensuring that you've got the factual information and you've got proper information for you to articulate yourself. So definitely you can hit us up and let us know how best we can serve you where it comes to enhancing your online presence. Talk about Facebook, boosting your numbers, and just ensuring that you are getting the attention that you need in order for you to sell your agenda. Not only politicians, we're also looking at SMEs, small scale entrepreneurs, medium-sized entrepreneurs, and large scale companies as well. We're able to formulate your brand placements, your brand messages, adverts, social media adverts, and just able to analyze how much attraction you're getting from your social media presence and online presence, basically. So we're able to formulate your ad campaigns and so much more. So definitely you can follow our link at www.zcorner.com and you'll find articles on digital marketing and other services that we are offering as well.
Yeah, definitely. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the end of this amazing live stream. And, I'm going to be that guy who's going to be begging for shares, because we obviously need to have the numbers. So if you happen to be watching us until this very end, you obviously like what we're trying to do and you are obviously entertained somewhat, and all I'm asking for you to do right now is share this video on your profile, your Facebook profile, and all the groups that you belong to here on Facebook. So you guys have been obviously amazing. We do read each and every comment of yours, and we are honestly humbled by the fact that you guys took your crazy schedule and you were able to just chill with us and just basically hang out with us. So this is something that we do not take for granted, and just like Siku said, we are offering a lot of services. If you guys are interested in just boosting up your businesses, if you want to really refine your social media presence and just basically go crazy with the numbers, we are the right people to talk to. So visit www.zcorner.com, get accustomed to all the services that we are providing. And I think with that said, talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, so Siko, are we going to do this tomorrow or we are going to take a break? Yeah, I was earlier talking to Siku about the fact that since we have sort of dedicated the next 6 months to doing a live stream each and every day at 8 p.m., sometimes it really gets exhausting, and that level of commitment really, really makes you think twice, especially after a few days of live streaming each and every day at the same time for about an hour. So this is one of the reasons why we'll see what we can do, but we promise to be back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central African time, which is Zambian time, and you're going to be able to interact with us. So, Siku, your last remarks, and let's close it.
I think what would also be interesting is if people can go in the comment section right now, and we're in the space of now to tomorrow, and let us know who they would love to see on the platform in terms of what we talk about, political issues. If there's a certain member of parliament, if there's a certain aspiring candidate that you would like to see on the platform, tag them in the comment section below, and let us know who you would want to hear from, and who we can bring on the platform, so that we do talk about certain issues that are affecting you and me on the platform. So you can comment in the comment section below, and we'll try to do our level best to get them to have a conversation with us and with you. And with that said, have an amazing night, and make sure that you do share and post in every group. We do need to get the momentum started. And a big shout out to a number of people: BM Jamen Sikombe, Pasi Papia Lamze, Nora Maiden, and Sydney Mbololo, just to mention a few. These are people that commented. A big shout out to you, and thank you for staying tuned to Z Corner.